You're listening to Podketeers.
Welcome to episode 275 of Podketeers. Teamboat Willie is officially signed up for Walk for Hope because we are joining the fight against women's cancers. If you're new to the podcast, Teamboat Willie is our official charity group working to raise money for organizations that are helping to make a positive impact in people's lives. As we work towards our fundraising goal for Walk for Hope, we'll be holding some auctions on our Instagram account. Just search for Podketeers on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter for updates on those. You can make a donation. Links are available in the blog post for this episode at podketeers.com/275. You can take our $1 challenge where you donate $1 but also get someone else to donate $1. There's a bunch of stuff that you can do to help, including purchasing Teamboat Willie gear, because for every Teamboat Willie item sold until October 31st, 2019, we are donating $3 towards our fundraising goal. For more information, please check out the blog post for this episode or go to teamboatwillie.com. It's super easy to remember because it's just like Steamboat Willie, but without the S. In this episode, we do some good old-fashioned armchair imagineering for Cars Land, which, believe it or not, was way more difficult than we thought it would be, and more. We'd love for you to join the conversation and give us your thoughts on anything that we talk about in this episode on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or on YouTube. Again, just search for Podketeers. If you happen to find this episode on YouTube, we hope that you like it, we hope you subscribe, and you hit that bell icon for notifications whenever new videos are posted. Before we jump into the episode, I'd like to take a moment to thank a very special group of listeners called the FGP Squad, also known as our podcast Fairy Godparents, because it's their generosity through their monthly contributions via Patreon that help make these episodes of Podketeers possible. If you like the podcast, it's a great time to become part of the FGP Squad. If you'd like more info, a link to sign up, or maybe even make a one-time donation, you can go to podketeers.com/FGP. To all of the members of the FGP Squad, we want to say thank you very much for your continued support. So here we are at the end of another intro, ready to dive into another podcast. So let's do it. This is episode 275 of Podketeers. Tripled income will make you smile. Tripled income, it lasts a while. Tripled income will help you, mister, to punch bad breath right in the kisser. Tripled income.
Wow, that was just like listening to the Pixar Magic Philharmonic Orchestronica. I can never remember the name of it, but it's awesome.
Yeah. Are they still there? I thought they were getting rid of them.
Oh, I don't think so.
Yeah, I thought...
Last time I was there, they were there.
I think within the last several weeks, they've decided that that is one of the pieces of live entertainment that will cease to exist in the parks.
Oh, that's lame. That was the only good thing that Pixar Fest ever gave us.
Yeah.
I'm going to double check while we talk, so keep going.
Okay. Yeah, I really do enjoy them. The Philharmonic Orchestra was one of the great things that started off over there in Paradise Gardens. They moved them over to Pixar Pier right in front of the big Pixar ball rolling marble on water. What are those called? Giant marbles on water?
That's what I call them.
That's a great question.
Cool. Giant marble on water. It's very close to that. And the reason I was thinking about tripled income is because I was, in trying to research for this episode, since we're going to be talking about Armchair Imagineering Cars Land later, I started watching Cars 3. And why didn't I watch Cars 1, you might ask? Because we couldn't find it. I don't know where the disc is. And for some reason, remember when the shift happened from Disney Movies Anywhere to Movies Anywhere, and they said, register your account and all sorts of good stuff? For some reason, about 9 of our movies didn't transfer over properly. And so we contacted Movies Anywhere, and they said, well, send us the codes, and I don't know where the codes are anymore. Like, we bought Cars when it first came out. Like, I don't know where that code is anymore. And for most of our Blu-rays and DVDs, we bought, like, cases to put them all in to save space. So we don't have those cases anymore. Like, I don't know what that code is. So
Dang.
a lot of our movies, especially the ones that were on DVD, just don't appear in movies anywhere for us anymore. And today was one of those moments where I just kept thinking to myself, man, I wish Disney Plus was already available.
That would have been perfect.
It would have been perfect.
It's getting close, though. We're under 2 months.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, the reason that it came up was because after watching Cars 3, because I couldn't find Cars 1, and I really didn't want to watch Cars 2, because, I mean, come on. It's Cars 2, right? It's Cars 2. I saw Cars 3, and first of all, I want to say, it got me, like hook, line, and sinker, every single time that it got me the last time. It was not any easier. Like, all the feels kicked in full gear. At the end, when Lightning straps on the headset and he starts coaching Cruz through the race, I'm like, oh, man. Oh, come on, man. And then at the
circle of life.
Right? And then at the end, when he's all like the fabulous Lightning McQueen, I was like, oh, come on now. Seriously? Oh, come on now. I was like, oh, okay. They got me. So I saw Cars 3, and I started kind of watching some special features and some like videos that were online on the Pixar Cars YouTube channel. And one of the racers is Cam Spinner of Triple Dent Gum. It's one of the newcomers of the next gen. And I thought, I forgot that there was actual sponsors from within the Pixar universe. And so as soon as I heard that, I was like, Triple Dent Gum will make you smile. And I just like, I can't get it out of my head. It's one of those earworms that's just like, bam, once it gets you hard.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, we're going to be Armchair Imagineering Cars Land later today. I can already tell you that it's going to be easy to concede this one to Gavin because, quite frankly, I got nothing.
Well, we don't know.
No, yeah, I know. I got nothing.
Well, you can. I think I still have a strong contender, so.
Oh, no, I'm conceding to it. I'm just like, okay, we're done here. This is that moment where I'm telling Ramon, hey, Ramon, you got your paints with you? Paint that 95 on Gavin. You're going in, buddy.
Nice. I like it. It'll be interesting because this is the first time we've tackled a land like this that we all pretty much agree is fully cooked.
Yeah.
It's great as is. Might I even say it's perfect as is? But nonetheless, I came up with several ideas that I'm excited about. So we'll see how it goes.
I would have been disappointed if you didn't, considering it's your favorite land, and you've officially gone on record as saying as it is. So
yep.
Yeah. So that's coming up later. And before we do, I do want to talk about, I don't know if you guys know this, but Bob Iger is going to be releasing a book very soon. I've pre-ordered it because as soon as I found out about it several months ago, I thought I need to have that in my life. So I pre-ordered it. I'm super excited to get it sometime this week whenever Amazon decides to deliver it. I think it's supposed to show up either the day that it's released or the day after. I think it releases on September 23rd. The book is called The Ride of a Lifetime: Lessons Learned from 15 Years as CEO of the Walt Disney Company. And I'm telling you, I've been super excited about this book releasing. Bob Iger has become one of those people that I absolutely look up to. Very similar to how I look up like to Steve Jobs and, you know, other people that made a difference in the companies that they ran. And not everything that they did was taken well by many in some cases. Yeah. But I think overall, when you reflect back on a lot of the positive that came from what they did, you know, they have a larger scope that they have to look out for. Right, not just a small segment of fans, and it's going to be a really interesting read for me.
Do you know if he's writing it or if he wrote it himself, or if he used a ghostwriter?
I vaguely remember reading something about him writing it.
Oh,
got it.
That's why I think it's going to be really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So if you guys are interested in purchasing that book, there's a couple of ways that you can actually acquire it. It is available on Amazon. If you head over to podketeers.com/episode 275, you'll be able to find a link to purchase it on Amazon. course, if you use any of our Amazon affiliate links, we do get a small commission from that purchase, and we truly appreciate all of you that are using our Amazon link for your purchases. You can also get it through Audible. As you guys know, we're huge fans of Audible. We use it all of the time as part of our commutes. I've been an Audible customer since, I don't even want to say the time frame because it's going to make me feel old. The point is that I've been an Audible customer for a super long time. And now Gavin's hooked because now he's got a longer commute. So you can go to audibletrial.com/podketeers. You get yourself a free book. You can get yourself Bob Iger's book and listen to it on your commute or when you're relaxing in the backyard with some coffee, with a beer, with a glass of wine. Who knows? Whatever you like to relax with. And just listen to the book. Listen to the sweet, sweet sounds of Bob Iger. I don't know if he reads it, but you'll listen to the sweet, sweet sounds of somebody reading Bob Iger's words. So if you would like that free book, audibletrial.com/podketeers is the way to get it. And guess what? If you decide that you want to cancel Audible because it's just not something that's for you, you get to keep that book forever and ever and ever and pass it on to your children and their children's children. And then you can all listen to it and get around the fire, get all cozy, get yourself some s'mores and just listen to Bob Iger. Listen to me. I think I'm a fan. I don't know. I might be. So there you go. audibletrial.com/podketeers. And if that's not your thing, there's plenty of other Disney books. There's some books by Marty Sklar. Let me see. What were the last couple of books that I purchased? Let me check my Audible.
It'll be like the Pokemon Go Player's Guide.
That was last month.
Pokemon Go Player's Guide Edition 2.
That was last month.
Pokemon Go Player's Guide Ultimate Edition Nerds Unite.
Yeah.
Tips and tricks.
No, you nailed all of them.
Good job.
Let's see. What do I have in my library here? Oh, I finally got the audio version of Sam Genoway's The Disneyland Story. I had the regular book, and I felt like I wanted to read it again, but I don't have a lot of time to just sit down and flip through pages. And I ended up getting The Disneyland Story by Sam Genoway. I also got the audio version of Marty Sklar's One Little Spark. I've already read through that book, but I just kind of wanted to hear it through again. So that's one of the things that's in my list. There's just so much stuff that you can get on Audible. I mean, give it a shot. If you don't like it, you can always cancel it before your trial ends. You get to keep your free book. So give it a shot. What else? There was so many things that I wanted to announce. Teamboat Willie.
Yeah.
Teamboat Willie is in full swing for our next event. In case you guys don't know, we are trying to raise money to join the fight against women's cancers, and we will be participating in the Walk for Hope for City of Hope. It's happening on Sunday, November 3rd, 2019. If you go to teamboatwillie.com, you will find the Walk for Hope banner, including a button to join our team and help us fundraise. You can live anywhere and help us fundraise. If you can't physically be there, you could be a virtual walker. Just because you can't be there with the team doesn't mean you can't help us out. You can also just make a donation. That's a great way to support what we are doing. And speaking of donations, if you follow us on social media, including Instagram and Facebook, I just recently posted a video talking a little bit about Walk for Hope, what we're trying to do with it, thanking everybody for the chalk walk because I hadn't been able to do that formally. But in that video, I threw down a challenge. And the challenge is simple. Donate $1 and get somebody else to donate $1. Super simple. You don't have to drop hundreds and thousands of dollars unless you have them and you want to. But I think if you donate $1, you're really not going to miss it. It's less than a cup of coffee. It's also knowing that for $1 gets you the satisfaction of knowing that you are part of the fight to end women's cancers. What other things cost $1 that are going to make you feel like that? Not many.
I can't think of anything.
Not many, right?
Insert crickets.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? So that's the challenge. Hashtag TW $1 challenge. So Teamboat Willie $1 challenge. We're throwing it out there. We're throwing the gauntlet down, and we're hoping that we can just pass the word along and that you can help us do that so we can try to raise as many dollars as possible, because that $1 may not seem like a lot to you, but if 10,000 people did it, yo, that's $10,000 that are getting donated against women's cancers. And if
Yeah.
you've been a part of that fight, if you know somebody that's been a part of that fight, if you've seen anybody go through that fight, man, it is one of the worst things that anybody could ever go through. And as soon as the inkling of knowing that that might be the case for you, and even if you don't have it, it's still one of the worst things that you could ever go through. And that needs to stop. And that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to raise money for. That's what we need your help with. So if you can help pass that word along, that would be fantastic. We also recently set up a Teamboat Willie Instagram, something that we didn't have before. You can follow it at Teamboat Willie on Instagram. We're thinking about setting up a Twitter. Facebook already has a group page that you can go and join. This was an idea that someone on the team brought to me. And when I started talking it out with her, our friend Jill, who helps us a lot, she brought this idea to me. And I had thought about a Teamboat Willie like Instagram for some time, right? But I didn't think we had a lot to put up there when we first started it. So I figured, maybe down the line we'll do it. But I think she made a very convincing argument that, I think it's time for Teamboat Willie to have its own Instagram entity. Having its own entity, having its own page will allow us to just share stories and share good deeds that other people are doing. And so we started it. You can go follow it. We'll repost it on the Podketeers Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. That way you guys know to go follow it and help us out. Take the challenge, donate $1, get somebody else to donate $1. There's not many things you can buy for $1, but it's a lot of goodness and a lot of good feels that come along with this one. So take the challenge. Throwing the gauntlet down.
I love it.
Have you guys been to the parks this week?
No.
Yes.
Yes?
Short, but I was there for about 2 hours or so.
Nice. What did you get a chance to do?
Not much because it was really crazy packed and busy, but pretty much just hung around DCA and got to see the new entrance for Mickey's PhilHarm Magic, which is beautiful.
Sweet.
Thank you, Gavin.
No problem.
It is so cool. The entranceway is awesome because it's just straight on through. Got to hang around Buena Vista Street. Oh my gosh, I just can't get enough of it. The purple lights. Oh, there's projections on Carthay Circle Restaurant. That's something new.
Oh, is it the Oogie Boogie ones? Like the Halloween?
Yeah.
Oh, I saw an Instagram video of those. They look so freaking cool.
Because they've had his voice in that area before, but now they've got imagery, it sounds like. That's awesome.
It's the imagery is his lab or his lair.
Oh, nice.
So where like Santa Claus comes out and it's like the snake the hole. That's what it is. And then sometimes you'll see like the black and orange snake like crawl through. It's so cool. It's minimal, but it's huge for me because this is new.
So is it constant and then just things are animated every once in a while, or does it come and go?
The background is constant.
Okay.
But you'll see bats, you'll see things.
Wow.
I need to see the whole thing, but it's cool.
Yeah.
That is very cool.
Yeah.
I've seen several people post it on Instagram. I don't think I'm going to get a chance to go to the park before we post this episode to record it myself. So I'm going to see if I can just repost one that has been posted before, either in the blog post for the episode over at podketeers.com/275, or we'll see if we can just repost it on our own Instagram because the imagery is fantastic. And I think it's a step above the one that you see on the castle because you're so close and it's so vibrant and there's a lot it's a lot smoother on that building than it is on Sleeping Beauty Castle, so you don't see as many indentations and crevices, and so the projection just looks super slick when it's happening.
Right? I need to go back and just watch and just take it all in. It's, like I said, the most wonderful time of the year. It's beautiful.
You're right. It is. I saw Christmas trees at Costco today.
You stop.
Oh my gosh.
Even though I wouldn't doubt it.
Oh, no, there totally was.
Oh.
There totally was. I had to go buy a few things, and I was totally surprised that 2 aisles were completely dedicated to Christmas decorations already.
Dang.
Wow.
And that's how we got the Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yep.
Woo.
Yep.
So yeah, just got to go around, play Pokemon Go. Pretty much that. Hang around. I'm getting disapproval from Gavin.
Shaking my head.
Oh man. So yeah, pretty much that. Walked down downtown Disney and actually got to take the new bridge to the parking structure. And that was actually really neat. What I liked about it is that you're not in the dark, you're not walking by the street, it's not creepy, and I love how it's open. It's really, really wide. So it could take,
Nice.
you could have a lot of people and still have a lot of room. The only thing I was a little worried about is that when you're going up on that incline, it may be difficult for those who are pushing wheelchairs. So definitely take the route that's on the walkway that takes you to the street. That would be my recommendation. Because I felt like, hey, I'm getting a workout here and I'm just walking.
So there's no elevator, escalator, or anything? It's literally just an inclined bridge the whole way through?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So you won't get an elevator up until when you reach Pixar Pal's parking structure. That's the only way you'll get an elevator.
Interesting.
But it does look like Mickey and Friends is going to get another elevator.
Oh, where's that going?
Yeah. Where the existing one is, there's right next to it to your left.
Mm-hmm.
There is construction, and it looks like it's going to happen, which is good. Because sometimes that line could get really backed up.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, in all fairness, I think it was also the only way to get to the one parking structure before. I think they do a fairly good balancing of parking cars as they're coming in between both structures now. And and it's possibly because I haven't been there all that often, since they opened Pixar Pals, but I don't think I've seen a line that long at the elevators since Pixar Pals opened. I could be completely wrong. If you guys have seen it, please, leave a comment, in the blog post or in the post on Instagram or Facebook for the episode. But I know that the times that I've gone, I haven't seen that line build up at all, especially in the evening that we've been leaving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. We'll keep an eye out.
Yeah.
Have they finished that central area on the ground yet?
Yeah.
What does that look like? I haven't seen it yet.
It's open and it's planters, and you could actually sit on the planters, which is good.
Nice.
Because, after a long walk, a long day of walking, you just want to sit down.
Yeah.
Sure.
Which is really, really cool. And it looks nice.
That's
cool.
Nice.
That's very cool.
Very cool.
All right. Well, again, if you guys have any insight on the lines for the elevator, we'd love to know if Pixar Pals has actually helped those lines. But adding another elevator will certainly help because we have seen them build up in the past. And it'll be nice to just have another form of communication in that area. So, cool.
Definitely.
All right. Before this episode goes on any further, I do want to remind you that this episode of Podketeers is brought to you by an amazing group of folks called the FGP Squad, or our podcast Fairy Godparents. It is their contributions monthly via Patreon that help make these episodes of Podketeers possible, and we thank them so much for their support and their help. I don't know if you guys checked this out, but on Patreon, I made a post recently because we have another giveaway, FGP Squad, so go check Patreon. It's one of the things that we kind of teased last episode. I gave the FGP Squad a sneak peek of that new product because, I'm so happy and excited about it. I'm just, it's just a big part of my life, and I love it. So, I gave them a sneak peek. So if you are part of the FGP Squad, make sure that you go check that out. If you're not part of the FGP Squad, it's a great time to join. You can go over to podketeers.com/FGP for a little bit more information on the FGP Squad and a link to Patreon so that you can sign up for a monthly or even one-time contribution. So podketeers.com/FGP. Again, to all of the members of the FGP Squad, we just want to send a huge thank you for your support. All right. Well, without further ado, ka-chow. It's time for us to Armchair Imagineer Cars Land. And, I got to say, Gavin, I think you kind of nailed it earlier when you were talking about how kind of perfect Cars Land is. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because remember when we did Frontierland, we all kind of felt like it's Frontierland. You can't really change all that much. It's kind of perfect the way that it is. Like, right. I actually felt that to be more true about Cars Land. And I kind of took inventory of all the lands. It's kind of the one that's the most perfect because you're already walking into everything that's familiar to you. Like everything, it's like they nail it, every single aspect of it. So if anything, I think, I had these two ideas that I thought, okay. I guess, if we're going to go back to the 1950s, these are great. So, I don't know. One of them has potential, but I know people are going to groan as soon as I say it. But, don't at me on it. So
It's not a third iteration of the flying saucer technology, is it?
Damn it, Gavin. Why are you giving away my ideas? So we're spinning around on hubcaps.
Oh, wow.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I'll go first, because we'll just get my sorry ideas out there into the world.
You're silly.
Okay, so imagine this. You're spinning on hubcaps.
He's not kidding, folks.
No. In all seriousness. So imagine the Mystery Shack.
Oh, Lord.
Dude.
Yeah, as you can tell, I was really digging for ideas on this one. Okay, so the first idea that I have is the one that I think people are going to be like, no, what are you doing? But I want to, and remember, I'm acting as if I was playing Roller Coaster Tycoon and I can just lift things up and like repurpose them somewhere else, okay?
Classic Heyzen.
He's going to demolish something.
I'm actually not demolishing. I'm actually taking away from one land and giving it to Cars Land, okay?
I like that.
I'm actually taking Soarin' out of Grizzly Peak and I'm moving it to Cars Land.
Okay,
because I think that in a synergistic approach, we could repurpose Soarin' so that you are on board Dusty Crabhopper and his circle of friends, and they are the ones that are taking you around California, doing their thing, and because of how 3D projections and technology work, if you're sitting inside of an airplane, they could tilt it up and down to the sides, make it really look like you're flying, and then the video can spin to make it look like you're doing loop-de-loops in the air, you're doing all sorts of tricks. At one point, you could be flying with the Blue Angels. There's so many possibilities for this. But I think I want to repurpose Soarin'. I know that the old Soarin' over California is super popular. Soarin' World, I think, I don't think has the same reception as Soarin' over California does.
Really?
It's a thing people say.
I think it's way better.
Well,
like not even
how
close.
It's shot. Yes, it's definitely better. But the transitions are much different. The scenes, obviously. I think there's a nostalgic approach to California and because of what DCA symbolized. And if we really want to keep it that way, I think there's a way to update it. The Cars franchise, especially by the time they got to Cars 3, I know that Planes wasn't as well received, and it didn't make as much money as the Cars franchises, but it is part of the same universe. And by the time that we got to Cars 3, so many of the scenes were absolutely photorealistic that you can even have a scene where the planes are flying over the speedway and you're watching Cruise or Lightning race. And they can get low enough that you're flying right next to them, and then you kind of speed off, and then you shoot up into the air. You end up at Disneyland, at California Adventure. Like, there's so many different things that you could do with it, and a lot of it could be 3D animated. But that photorealism that was brought to us in Cars 3, I think would be a really great direction to take this attraction and kind of merge it with what's already there.
And you said this was an idea?
Yes, I know it is.
Good.
Don't at me.
No, this was good.
Yeah. I'm really pissed that you looked at my notebook.
What?
We're going to need to have some words after this because I feel like you just cheated.
What?
Stay
You
tuned
took
for my
his
final
thunder.
idea. Stay tuned for my final idea. That's all I'm saying.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. You big jerk.
Have we been sipping
Stole
the
my
same...
thunder, blew the surprise.
Have we been
everything.
sipping the same Kool-Aid?
Apparently.
This from the same oil
Cars
can?
Kool-Aid.
From the same oil can?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
No worries. No worries. It's happened before. I'll just keep on trucking.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, we could rewind this whole thing and...
No. Yours was good. I like it.
Okay.
I'll just build on it.
Okay. All right. Who wants to go next?
Let me cool off for a minute. You go for
Okay, I'll
you
go
next,
next
Mel.
Wow. So what I was thinking of is repurposing the Cozy Cone Motel. And what I was thinking about was, what if we had a system where we would check into the Cozy Cone Motel? Because, I mean, we have some space that we're not using. So let's kind of use it up a little bit. The key while checking in would actually be your food order. And then your rooms would be which cone you're going to. I would say keep it the way it is. Open it up. Make it look like you're going into the motel itself. Because, I mean, who doesn't want to go into the cone? I want to stay in there. You know, why not? And I was thinking about this because, one, there's no shade. That was my main thing. There's really no shade in those lines or anything. And so why not treat it as like mobile order and being more efficient? Because sometimes you could be in those lines for like, 30 minutes or so?
30
depending.
minutes.
So I was thinking about, okay, so doing that, I want to say the grass area in front, keep it intact. And I know it would be bad, but what if we were to have like lawn chairs? Kind of like a seating area. And, you know, kind of enjoy it and whatnot. And the areas on the sides where we have the benches, let's make them into carports. Gives ourselves, you know, some shade, fans, something like that. Because again, not really good with weather, especially if we're in summer or if it's raining. If we're going to be like cars, let's put them in the carport. Let's give them some shade. Let's protect ourselves, our cars. Let's do that. You know, we would have, you know, our little garages and whatnot. So where would we put the characters? Because there's a meet and greet.
Right.
Well, I was thinking about putting them by the billboards. Let's just pretend that wall where Stark Park is going to be.
Stark Park.
Let's pretend, you know, that wall or that area could be that new meet and greet. Because you're not doing anything right there. So I was kind of thinking ahead of how to like maneuver things. I was thinking by Stanley maybe, but then you would be like kind of crowded because of the people going into racers or whatnot. And yeah, it's like, nah, let's just go to the side and do that. So yeah, I mean, I love the motel, but I mean, I would love to just utilize that area a little bit more. So there.
That's cool. You know, if you did a meet and greet with lawn chairs and you just had like Smokey, Louise Nash, River Scott, and Junior Moon just all lined up telling you stories of the old days of the Piston Cup. Like, that would
Aw.
be awesome.
That's hilarious.
And it might just be because I'm fresh off of Cars 3. I don't know.
Of course.
I have a disclaimer. I haven't seen anything but Cars.
Wait,
That
what?
is terrible. You should not have said that out loud.
So,
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
How is
I
this
should have said that
possible?
first.
Oh, wow.
Unfreaking believable. I just have a couple of questions because I don't
Yeah.
feel like I have a full picture in my head of what you're trying to do with the Cozy Cone. Are you making this a system where everybody orders in one spot and then they get like a room key that they take to whichever cone they're going to place to like give them their order, like you do with your receipt when you take your
Yeah.
receipt up to the counter, right? That's what you're doing? Okay.
That's
So
what I'm
it's
trying to
just so
do,
that
yeah.
everybody's not standing in individual lines in front of every cone to order. They're just
Yes.
going there to pick up their food.
Right. And then
Got
you would
it.
be in AC or shaded. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking, why not use the area? So kind
Yeah.
of like that. Like you would enter and then just go to whichever location you would have to go to.
So you could have you know how when you're waiting for a table, they give you like some sort of little plastic thing that'll like light up and vibrate. Like
Mm-hmm.
your hotel key could have like a fob that like lights up and
Ooh.
vibrates when your meal's ready, so that you could go pick out your spot in the carport, and then whenever your meal's ready at the cone queso or whatever, you go
Yeah.
up to that cone and you get your thing and you bring it back, right?
Right.
So I think they could come up with something efficient like that. I like that, and I agree that there's not enough shade there. So adding little carports might work pretty nicely. There's actually quite a bit of room on the north side that's just like garden area that they could kind of expand into a little bit.
Yeah.
Very cool. I could see that working.
Thanks.
I want a cone with mac and cheese now.
I still haven't tried that thing, man.
It's kind of
What?
delicious.
Yeah, I've never tried it. It seems messy.
Only if
it's
you
not
eat it
messy.
wrong.
How do you eat it? With a big old fat straw?
Oh, yeah.
That's hilarious. All right, well, that's kind of a good transition into my first idea, which is character-based. So it's kind of a general thing. Like this one is pretty general, but I want to be able to encounter the cars more than we do. First of all, I think more of the cars' characters should be out and about. The fact that we've only ever seen, a small handful of cars from the beginning, is a slight disappointment. I wish we would see more of the cars, especially some of the more impressive cars like Ramon. I think it'd be really cool to see him bumping down the road. I think that would be amazing. So whether that means more meet and greets or maybe a couple times a day, like a bigger group of the car's characters just cruise through town and just say hello to everybody and check in on everybody and then just cruise out of town, just like so there could be a car's sighting several times a day. I think that'd be cool. I mentioned it in the last episode too. I would really love to see the cars in their attractions. So I want to see Luigi and Guido at Rollickin' Roadsters, and I would love to see Mater at Junkyard Jamboree, because how cool would it be to see him there singing those songs to you and giving you all the instructions like live in person.
Yeah.
I think that would be incredible to see that, and I feel like there's no reason why they couldn't pull that off. So I would like that. And then when you're inside the stores, I would love it if they did like just random in-store announcements by the proprietors. So when you walk through the door of Lizzie's, maybe there's a motion sensor and Lizzie says, "Welcome to my curio store. Find a souvenir for your trip to Radiator Springs," or you could have Sarge like letting you know what bargains are available at the surplus hut,
Or
like
yelling at you, telling you
Yeah.
what bargains.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I just think it would be really cool to kind of hear some of those, characters, giving announcements or greeting you as you come in. You could have Ramon talking about the newest shirts that are on the rack or whatever. I just think it'd be cool to feel like they're there, because they live in this town, they should be there. and I would just like to see more of them.
I could just imagine Fillmore.
Oh yeah, Fillmore would be great. I would adore that. I think that'd be so cool.
Okay.
And we could get Smokey in there for sure.
All right.
You know.
Well, that actually gave me a very similar idea then. Where do you want to put these characters? You just want them to come out into like Route 66 at random like the cars have done in the past?
Well, that's the thing. Like for the meet and greet things, I mean, they can exist where they always have. We can find other spots for them to do meet and greets too if we want, but I don't think that has to necessarily change. But it would be cool just to see them either as a group or just randomly just drive through, you know?
Okay.
Kind of like randomly you can see characters walking through Fantasyland. You know, like it's not stationary, like, oh, we've got a meet and greet that's always in this one spot, so this is where you go. But like the characters like Alice and the Mad Hatter or Peter Pan, how they just kind of pop up and like wander through, or like Gaston, you know? Like I like that dynamic, and I feel like it could happen with the cars. I mean, it's not quite as like, you can't just run up to the car and be like, hey, what's up? Like you can with Gaston, because, you know, they keep people away from them when they're driving for safety reasons. But I think it would be really cool and dynamic just to see them like, oh, here comes, you know, Sarge coming down the road, and oh, look, the other way is coming Red, you know, and they like pass each other or something and like say, how's it going, Red? You know, I just think it'd be cool because it would make it would create that element of feeling like you're in the movie even more, because it's like you're just there, a part of their lives.
Yeah. Have you ever, because I mean, there is already a version of that with Lightning, Mater, up until recently, DJ did that. Cruise did it, or might still do it, and then Red would occasionally come out, but it looks like they reserve Red now for bigger events like Chalk Walk and some of these other things that happen that are special events versus just bringing Red out. Right. So yeah, I think more of the characters would be super cool, especially if they're all made to scale in comparison to the other cars. We already technically have Mac as part of Paint the Night, so it would be easy to just kind of, even if you don't bring them into Cars Land, but you kind of drive them behind Cars Land, the added bonus of maybe having them somehow interact with each other, like, oh, hey, Mac, like, hey, where you going, buddy? It's like, I'm going over to make sure that I get some fuel from Fillmore. All right, well, be careful. You never know what you're drinking. You know, like, just kind of, like, you know what I mean? Like, just have that little added bonus of them talking to each other as they're driving through Radiator Springs. That would be a super cool experience. I'm so on board with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it would add a cool dynamic and further increase that feeling of stepping into the film.
Nice.
I wouldn't mind seeing Guido outside the tire shop.
Heck
he
yeah.
He would be adorable.
And on that note, stay tuned for one of my other ideas. But yeah, I would love to see the fact that we've never seen Sally driving around in there.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a licensing thing with Porsche or something like that, because she is a Porsche Carrera. But oh man, I think it'd be so cool to have Sally added to the mix at the very least.
Yeah. No, I really like that. Which actually kind of made me manifest this idea as you were talking. So may I go next?
You may, sir.
All right.
Yeah.
So I think we actually should have one dedicated spot where we either have story time with Stanley or Tales from Doc Hudson.
Okay.
So we set up a theater very similar to how we have Turtle Talk with Crush. However, it's not on the screen. It's actually a giant animatronic of the car that's talking to you, similar to the ones that we're seeing on Radiator Springs Racers. And so you're in this theater, totally lit up, and so Doc or Stanley starts talking, right? And as they start talking, the lights begin to dim, and all of a sudden everything goes bright, but the entire theater is a 3D projection of the town that you're in or the story that they are telling. So you're literally sitting inside of the story that's being told to you.
I super dig it. Yes, that's great.
I'm just mind blown. I'm like, this is cool. You know me in story time.
Yeah, I think it would work. And I think if you start off with, like, maybe you can rotate the characters, right? Because they're fairly easy to rotate out. Doc can come in from like, I don't know, 9 to 10 and tell like his stories. And then from like 12 to 1, you have Stanley. From 3 to 4, you have Lightning. Like the whole next day, it's all of Mater's Tales. I don't know. Like there's so much to choose. And then if you get the original writers from Cars to come in and expand on that universe, there's so many stories they can make up and tell and make you a part of.
Sure. Yeah, no, I think this is great. I think it would be better if it was the old timers, like you first mentioned. So like if it's Stanley, if it's Doc, even maybe Smokey, like bring those old timers in to kind of tell you the tales.
Yeah.
And tell you the history and the backstory and the funny antics that have happened throughout the decades.
Nice.
But I
Yeah.
think it could also work for modern as well, because you could bring up like Ramon and them or any of them, and they could put a modern twist to what they're seeing today in their
Sure.
town.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's true too.
yeah, I love this. I totally do.
It would be cool to see
Yeah.
like crazy Easter eggs. Again, fresh off of Cars 3 today. But I don't know if you remember this, but there's a scene where Cruz is training cars on the treadmills. And at the end, she's like, "Oh, Gabriel, are you homesick again?" And he's like, "Oh, yes, my town of Santa Maria or Santa Lucia." And it's the town from Coco.
Right.
Little Easter eggs like that tie it to the rest of the Pixar universe. I think like those Easter eggs would be like super cool for people to
Nice.
experience.
Yeah, I agree. I said that last week when we talked about the Cars franchise a little bit, as with our talk about Cars Land. I feel like it's the most reference-laden, Easter egg-filled franchise in Pixar, which is saying something because they love their Easter eggs.
Yeah.
And there's nothing so replete with references and homages and puns and Easter eggs as Cars.
Yeah.
I need to see this movie.
Oh, you do.
Seriously, like, what are you doing with your life?
Don't wait for Disney Plus.
Oh man.
I would tell you you could borrow mine, but we can't find it.
Oh, it's okay. I'll catch up eventually.
Yeah.
So this is tripping me out because, again, we don't share our ideas, but the wavelength is crazy because your idea, Heyzen, is very close to my idea, and that's always kind of like, oh, like I'm trying not to say much, but I'll present mine. I was like, story time. What I wanted to start off with is saying that I have a huge soft spot for classic cars and lowriders.
Nice.
And that's why Flo's is my favorite place. Ramon is, I love his design. And when DJ left Radiator Springs, I mean, there's been a void. There hasn't been a show. We haven't seen anything like that. So I was thinking about, a little story time with Flo. And, she comes down Route 66, tells a little bit about how she met Ramon. And I'm a sucker for little love stories and things like that, especially if they can make something up. Cool. I could sit down and listen all day. Like, let's say she tells her story. She remembers that, hey, I have a restaurant, I got to go back to work. And the show doesn't stop there. So she travels back and, she's doing her thing. So right after that, we see Ramon come down and he starts to tell, he kind of starts to say the story again, and he carries on from where she stops. But in between, we get to hear Flo from Flo's as get back onto the story, don't get sidetracked, like married couple stuff, like really cutesy stuff. And say he finishes the story. We got a crowd, and he tells the crowd, hey, do you guys want to see a neat trick? Boom, he lifts one side of himself, and the crowd goes wild, It's something different. And he's like, no, hold on, let me show you this. Boom, there goes the other side. We've got hydraulics going. And suddenly the crowd goes really wild because, one, that's a huge thing here. Like, we have that culture. So to see Ramon have that, starts to play starts to talk about his hydraulics and his back in the day and whatnot. We got music going, and then all of a sudden he's asking for more of a response, and then he just starts doing his lifts. He is bouncing in the middle of the intersection with the music going. I mean, I wish we could get his the back part lifted and twisted around, like spinning. But, he gets all into that flow automatically. Is like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be telling the story, da da da. And then things settle down. From there, he says, hey, so I totally forgot I was supposed to tell the story. I got to go back to the shop and da da da. And then we see him go, and there we go.
Nice. But I'm just telling the story.
Yeah.
I just wanted to show everybody my hydraulics.
I would love to see this. Like, I grew up with this, and I'm like, why don't we see this from Ramon? Like,
Yeah.
We got to have something like this. So I would totally love it, and I would probably see it every day.
That would be cool. Like, the back and forth storytelling, I think, would be really fun and interactive.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And to have him drive through and not have hydraulics would be a miss, right? He has to. He has to. And for him, they could do, his outer shell could just be a vinyl applique, so that they could, have 5 or 6 different paint jobs for him and just switch out the vinyl, right?
Yeah.
So that they could just, he could have a new paint job all the time.
He could have seasonal ones.
Yeah, I think that would be amazing.
Man, that would be cool. I like that idea. I'm on board with this too. I love the fact that if we brought Ramon in and we had the hydraulics working, it would just be super fun to see. It's a show all in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I love it. All right. And plus the love story aspect of it. I'm kind of a sucker for that too, so I like that aspect of it too. Good call on that.
That's why we need Sally too.
Yeah, good call on that.
Bring him in. All right. My next idea is a small one. So we're gonna go down in scope here. It's a small but hilarious one. So
okay.
I won't ask you, Melissa, but do you have a pretty clear recollection of Cars 2, Heyzen?
I mean, I know that they traveled and they did the world circuit, and Francesco Bernoulli was kind of the thorn in Lightning's side.
Yes. Okay. Well, there is a scene in the very first place that they traveled to. And part of the story is that, Lightning is giving Mater this once-in-a-lifetime chance to travel with him around the world and see things he never would have seen outside of Radiator Springs. So they first go to Tokyo, and it appears that Mater has had a bit of an accident at this party that they go to, and he races off to the bathroom. And his experience in the bathroom is amazing. And if anyone has been to Japan, or they've been to a really authentic Japanese restaurant and have used the restroom, you might have experienced this too. And what I'm talking about is the insane, interactive, customizable stall experiences that you can have at these places where you can choose water temperature, you can choose blow dry settings, you can choose all kinds of things. I want to bring these Japanese bathrooms, at least one stall in each bathroom, to Cars Land, as if Mater went and discovered this stuff and brought this technology back with him. I want these to be in the restrooms. And I want them to be fully animated with the little Cars cartoon, with the little cutesy kawaii car going, hoo-hoo-hoo. I think it would be so amazing to have that experience. And then I started just down this creative road with the bathrooms. I think it'd be great to hear sputtering cars and just car noises happening in the bathrooms, right? I think it'd be hilarious to just make it full on,
car
make it
toilet
look like
humor.
Yeah, exactly. I just think it'd be great, but I think there should be at least one stall in each bathroom that gives you this opportunity to have that experience, and I predict that they would be the most popular stalls probably in the resort.
So
Yeah.
I kind of agree with that statement, and the only thing that worries me about it is all the vloggers that are going to have cameras active in the bathrooms.
Yeah, that's true.
How about this? What if it's not just one stall, but it's a random experience?
Again, the vloggers.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but then they would all have to be in the stalls. That's what I'm just saying. Like, what if they didn't know?
Yeah.
And then surprise, it happens.
I mean, the Japanese toilet couldn't move. It would have to be one spot.
Yeah.
But with sound effects, they could move around. They could be different things. But I was just thinking of that as more of everybody hears that in the bathroom. You know, they hear some car that sounds like it's down at the end, really revving hard, something.
What if we had the toilet, the Japanese toilet on display outside of the bathroom, like a little show, and you hear Mater saying, "We're trying to bring this technology to Radiator Springs," and then he's
There you go.
showcasing it, and it's not
Yeah.
inside, so the vloggers don't invade the bathroom.
That's true. That's true. I like that.
I like that.
Yeah, it could work. I hate editing an idea based on the fact that vloggers are going to ruin it. So I still want it inside the bathroom, but that is a good compromise. I do see that.
Okay. I mean, it's hard for me to say because technically I'm starting to consider myself a vlogger, but I have boundaries, and I feel that there's some out there that don't.
Right. I would tend to agree. I was kind of inspired by, and I haven't experienced it myself, but I'm under the impression that at the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, when you go to the restroom, you hear Moaning Myrtle in the restroom, right?
Yes, you do.
Okay, yeah. So things like that is what kind of inspired me for this.
Okay.
So I think we can cars it up in there a little bit.
All right.
I have an idea, and I think I'm going to step back to what I was talking about earlier, but I just thought about ESPN Zone. Mm-hmm. And you know how their restrooms have the games going on?
Yes.
So why don't we have the races?
Yes.
And you could hear them, you could hear what's happening. I think that'd be cool.
Like the announcers and stuff. Oh, and if something
Yeah.
good happens on one of the screens, you can have speakers outside of the bathroom where you hear people cheering, and it goes up and down depending on what's happening inside on the screens.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, yes. It's kind of like Dodger Stadium and all these other locations have the same thing so that if you have to go relieve yourself, you don't miss part of the game.
Yes.
But there are those times where you're standing in line or waiting for your turn, and you're looking up at the screen, and outside of the door you hear,
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Nice.
that's a sweet idea. I like that. We're bringing this here technology to Radiator Springs.
Wow.
That's funny.
That turned into way more than I thought it would from a bathroom stall.
That's what we do.
Okay.
That's true.
So I thought about this as you were talking about, this little tiny experience. And originally when you said tiny experience, I thought this is the direction you were going to take it in. And now I'm glad you didn't, because I feel like I can claim it as an idea of my own. And that is, in the last episode you mentioned, there was these great signs that transitioned from Cars Land to Bugs Land. And now we don't know the fate of those. It might get sealed off, obviously, because we're going to get Avengers Campus. But what if there was this kind of homage to bugs, and you had a garden of all these car-type flowers like you see all around Radiator Springs, and flying around those flowers were the tiny car bugs, the little beetles that you see in the movies.
I super love that idea. I would love to see those little bugs zipping around somewhere in there. I always thought that they could put them inside one of the windows on the street, and you could just see them inside there buzzing around or something. But that's a great idea, because they've gotten really good at the little fireflies that they do in the nighttime scenes of some of the rides. I feel like they could have a little, hard to see little wire holding a little buzzing bug.
Yeah. Or they can somehow do a Pepper's Ghost effect where they're actually just projecting it onto something. right? So
Yeah.
yeah, but it would be a nice homage to Bugs. It's, keeping it synergistic with Cars, and you do something with that area that I think a lot of people kind of fell in love with because of that transition that was there. So
Yeah.
not a huge idea, but
I
it's
still
cute.
feel pretty strongly that there is going to be some sort of cross-reference between Bugs and Ant-Man within Avengers Campus. I feel like you have to shout out Flick somewhere in there. So I could see it being some sort of a Bugs Land, Ant-Man jokey kind of thing or something to that nature. So yeah, I'm really, that's one of the things I'm most fascinated about, is to see how they're going to transition between Cars and Avengers, because that's a hard transition.
Yeah.
It's already abrupt and kind of hard between Hollywood and Mission Breakout. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I have faith in the Imagineers, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do there. But I like that idea, though.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
I'm thinking about the Ant-Man transition, and it makes total sense. Obviously, you can't have Flick and Ant-Man because it would just be a weird crossover. Like, the clash in properties would just be weird. But if somehow we get, like, a word bubble or something that says, like, oh, yeah, my friends Anthony and Antonio Banderas used to know this guy named Flick that used to live here, but they packed up and they moved a long time ago. Like if there was like that type of reference where you're not physically seeing the characters together, but there's like these little comments along the way, I think that would be
Right.
funny. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm kind of thinking, is that it's just going to be like references. Although, if they have an Ant-Man attraction with no Flick Easter egg in it, I will be disappointed.
I'm sure
Yeah.
they'll have one.
Like, even if it's something where you have to like turn around backwards to see it at the right moment, like it won't affect the ride at all, but it's like something for like super fans to have in there. I think it needs to be in keeping with the tradition of Disney theme parks.
You got to turn around and see the moose heads.
Yep.
Exactly. Marvel's got to play ball
the
too
dark.
now that they're in the parks.
Yeah. All right, Mel.
Oh no, that was it. I only had 2.
Okay. Gavin, do you want to go next, or do you want me to say my final idea? How many do you have?
No, I've got 3 left, so I'll go, and then you can go, and then I'll drop my final 2.
All right, cool.
All right. Be polishing the trophy.
Nice.
Okay. So my next idea is something that I've personally wanted to do since Cars Land opened. And that's to be able to go into the courthouse at the end of the street. It's right there. You look straight down the road, and you're looking right at the courthouse with the statue of Stanley out front. Several scenes in the first Cars film happen inside that courthouse. And I just feel like I want to go in there, right? Well, now we're going to have the chance to go inside the courthouse where Judge Hudson is presiding. But why are we going to the courthouse? We're going there to get our official Carburetor County driver's license.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So this is going to be an interactive character experience with a souvenir at the end. So we're going to enter into the courthouse, and as we go in, we're going to have our picture taken. And then you're going to actually enter the courtroom where you will meet Judge Hudson, and he is going to ask you some questions. It'll be like Cars kind of trivia questions. And then he'll have you recite the responsible driver oath, yet to be written. And then he will grant you your drivership, and then you will walk out with your very own license. This is something that I think would be something that you could go back multiple times to do, because I think a lot of, as you say, Instagrammers or vloggers or whatever would love to post their various licenses. But, they have a similar thing kind of at Autopia where it's more like a photo booth where you can get your license, right? But I really would love this to be something a little more substantial. So like that's why when you enter, they take your picture, and then while you're in line and then while you're doing the experience, they're actually manufacturing something that's a little more substantial. You know, even if it's just like something business card sized that they're just running through a quick laminator real quick, you know. But something that you feel like you could actually put in your wallet and like have for a while, you know, not something cheap that's going to fall apart. I don't want it to be a pay extra to do this kind of thing. You know, like some random experiences are sometimes. I feel like this should be just, if you stand in line for this, you get this personally. Like all the millions of buttons you can just line up for and say, it's my birthday or I'm celebrating this or whatever. Like you can get this driver's license if you stand in line for it.
Nice.
So yeah, I just think it would be really cool to kind of come in and they have this official, you know, like, you know, all rise. And then they like lift up Judge Hudson from behind the bench and he's like, order in the court or whatever. And he says, you know, we're here to grant driver's licenses today. So drivers, repeat after me. And you repeat an oath. And I just think it'd be fun. And I think it would be a cool chance to go inside one of the main buildings that we don't get any sort of indication of inside at all.
Nice. That actually merges so well with my final idea. It's not even funny.
Oh, cool. Nice.
It's not even funny. Because
if you look at the building, like I think we'd have to make it bigger because it's as big as it looks right now, and I think we'd need it bigger. But to the east, behind where Luigi's Rollickin' Roadsters is, you could expand that building off that direction. So I think we could pull this off. But it's awesome that it kind of segues into your next idea.
Yeah.
What's cool about it is that this experience has potential to have someone come back, and not just for another license. You know how we have to renew and you get your sticker?
Yeah.
Like something to add onto it, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
Because it's something that we do, and then it's like, oh, you get to do it in their town. I mean, that would be cool.
Yeah, and you could even like fill out a little form where you pick your make and model, and you know, like you're a car, right?
Right.
And you know, you could like, I have blue eyes, so I could be like, you know, I could be a blue car, and you know, I could be like, I'm an oil donor. You know, if I get in a wreck or something, you know,
Oil donor.
Ooh,
I'm a spare parts donor. Or I have a corrective windshield because I don't see so well, you know, like
that's
you can get creative with having like different car stats on there. I think it'd be really cool.
Both of those ideas, including the going back and getting stickers, renewing, all that stuff, still fits ridiculously well with my next idea. So
that's cool.
Okay. So again, working on the premise of Roller Coaster Tycoon and lifting up anything and placing it wherever I want, okay? I'm taking Interventions out of Tomorrowland, and I'm moving it behind Radiator Springs Racers. Okay. And the reason I'm doing that is because the entire inside is going to get gutted out. We're going to add stadium seating all around and create Florida International Raceway.
Oh.
That's just part one.
You are on a Cars 3 kick.
So back in 2010, there was a shop in downtown Disney called Ride Makers, where you could walk in, you can customize an entire RC car, you can get the shell, you can get custom tires, engines, like everything to make that car go faster, go slower, go off-road, whatever you wanted. And at one point, they offered you the ability to purchase cars' shells so that you can have a Lightning McQueen, a Mater, and so on and so forth. So what if we had an experience similar to that inside of California Adventure, where you could build your own car that, once you built it, gets scanned, all the stats are taken, and a virtual version is created. And then you sit around this speedway and you race with other people at DCA. They have these hourly races, and at the end, you win the Piston Cup. And to tie it into the Disney app, If you win, you get to scan a special barcode that gives you a badge inside of the Disney Play app that you are a Piston Cup winner. They take your picture and they display it outside on a poster as you're walking around so everybody can see that you're the Piston Cup winner for the day, the way that Cruise and Lightning's was on the giant billboard.
That is cool.
I like it. That's cool. I don't understand why you need to move that building. I feel like you could just build a new building with modern technology.
You totally could, but if I move it, I'm giving you space to build Tron.
Well,
like the
we
lights
can
like
just we can just raise that building. I say just tear that building down. Like don't like it'd be harder to move it than build a new building, I think.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it's your roller coaster tycoon
yeah.
brain working, and this is blue sky territory. So you're cool.
I'm also trying to stop myself from using the words "I'm completely tearing down."
Yeah,
because
I
I've
get
gotten
it.
flack for it in
that.
the past. So now I feel that it's easier for me to say I'm moving something, versus I'm just tearing something down.
So when we do Armchair Imagineering and Heyzen begins talking about anything, I just picture every single Disney attraction looking up in the sky and going, "The claw," because Heyzen's just going to swoop down and pluck one at random and move it wherever he wants to.
That's very true. That's very true.
Or the amount of walls, because he's going to close a whole land.
Oh yeah,
that's hilarious.
Yep.
That's all right. There's no bad ideas here in blue sky territory.
So yeah, you build your own little car.
I dig it, man. I think that would be so much fun to do.
Yeah.
Now, would you be able to race if you didn't like purchase your own car and build your own car? Because not everybody can afford to have these experiences that you have to pay for.
Oh yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Like the droids and the
lightsabers is a perfect
lightsabers
example.
are really expensive, you know. And I feel like this would kind of be in that same vein. So I would love for everybody to be able to participate if they could.
Yeah, the only difference between purchasing and not purchasing is that you get to virtualize the car that you built and race the car that you built. Otherwise, you just get a random car assigned to you.
Yeah.
So then let's have 2 circuits, and the one that you pay for gets a better prize, and the other one you just get your, if you win, you get your picture up there. But if you pay, then you get much more in a bundle.
Like what? Because I feel that kind of adds to what Gavin's saying. Like it's going to make people feel left out that if they didn't spend the money, you know what I mean? Like I kind of get where Gavin's coming from on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Like it should come down to technical skill, not whether or not you paid to win.
True.
Regardless of what car you get, you all have the same chance of winning. It's all about how you maneuver, the tricks that you do, or how you draft, and how you kind of find the window, so to speak, versus, I paid $200 for my car so that it could be the fastest one. Because then what if everybody bought a $200 car and then nobody's going to win? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so
True.
I think if regardless of whether you purchase one or not, if everyone's kind of on the same playing field, it's just a giant video game that you're playing, and it comes down to skill.
Right. See, okay, so what if we did this? Now, for those of you who don't know this about me, I'm not a big gamer. But when I do play video games, I play racing games. That's what I play, right? So there's different types of racing games. And there's the type that are more realistic, where you're actually modifying your car, you're actually changing its attributes in a really specific way, and it has realistic output when you're racing. And then there's like the arcade style, where you might pick a different type of car that, is really fast in the straightaways but isn't great on curves, or a really maneuverable car that's really good at tight curves but isn't super fast, with different basic attributes. So I think if we did something like this, it should be an arcade style like that, right? And I think that if we have the race be its own thing, where anybody can line up for this race, they can go and play, and as the pre-race starts, you load up whatever type of car you want to use, and you can pick a color, like some aesthetics, right? You can pick how it looks, what type of a car it is, and that's how you race, right? Mm-hmm. Now, in addition to that, you have a shop where you can go and you can build your own car. Part of that is they'll give you a code that gives you those general attributes of your car that you can just scan next time you race, right? And so you can just go boop and it'll scan it in. But everybody's really playing on the same playing field, regardless of how they built their car. It's arcade style, and you might have something that, you know, takes off of the line faster, but isn't great on turns. You know, where somebody else has, you know, something that's good on turns and is good off road, you know. And that way you kind of pick your racing style, but everybody's kind of on the same playing field as far as capabilities. I think that way the experience would be even. And so if you got good at it, you would just be good at it. And it wouldn't have anything to do with you spent money to make a better car. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Kind of like, you know, Midway Mania or Buzz Lightyear. There are people who are really, really stupid good at those and rack up amazing scores, but that's just because they practice, right? It's not because they paid extra to have a better gun on their car. You know what I mean?
Or they got the purple Buzz Lightyear ship
Oh,
that spins
I don't know
faster.
about that.
It's the one that
Oh, it
spins the
does?
fastest, yeah.
So,
Is there only one?
No, I'm kidding.
Oh,
It's more of the teacup lore than anything else. I'm just mixing
you had
the
me
two.
going.
so we could actually tie this to Gavin's bathroom idea and
Ooh.
have these races be the ones that we're listening to.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, let's race the toilets.
No. No.
That's awesome. I like it.
That actually
way
would be
you're-
super fun, yeah.
Yeah. Man, it could all be interactive, all together in one big thing. That's great.
Cool. So that's it.
Love it.
Look how big it became.
I think that's
We just
fantastic.
yeah.
So you're putting that in that location kind of behind Rollickin' Roadsters and that side of Radiator Springs Racers. Now, where did you move the Soren building to?
Right next to that.
Okay, so then you're basically canceling the Quinjet attraction for Avengers Campus.
Nah, that's going underground.
Oh my gosh, dude. You tycoon, you. Okay, well, Heyzen, I'm sure you're going to get solidly behind this next idea.
Gravity Falls coming to DCA.
Yeah, no. We're still solidly in Cars Land here. Although, a bit of an expansion here. So, park your car at a hip new watering hole on the edge of town called Guido's. Watch as Guido applies his seemingly endless talents to the art of coffee, espresso, and Italian sodas.
And I'm
So-
officially on board.
Yes. So this is something that I think some people will have a problem with, but I don't feel like it's going to be a lot of people because it's something that is underused and not really well attended. And that is the Blue Sky Cellar across the street from Mater's. I feel like that building started out strong. They had lots of great things in there for many years, but it's kind of died. You know, there was like 2 years where it was nothing. And then like the last year and a half or something, it's been Pixar Pier. And like, what else are they showing? Like it's done basically. Right. So I feel like we can use that building a little better. The whole look of that stretch around to the wine country, trattoria, and all that stuff is all very Italian. So I feel like what we were going to bring here is a classic Italian coffee shop with Guido as the proprietor. I picture him kind of at a high bar behind the coffee bar, like animatronic, doing his crazy flair barista work, making his coffee drinks and, spinning them out there. And then down below, you'll have actual bartenders like serving or baristas serving the actual coffee drinks, kind of like a mishmash of like what we see at Oga's Cantina, where Rex is DJing. So he's kind of up above, like off to the side, but this will be, he'll be directly behind the bar, like mixing stuff, right? And like working espresso machines on either side and like steam coming out, and it'll be awesome, right? But we're going to open up that whole building. We'll probably expand it too and make it more of an open air Italian cafe with seats inside and out along that stretch of road. So you really feel like you can kind of sit and have a drink, a coffee drink, and watch the passersby in a very kind of European style, right? It's like Guido's kind of bringing some of his homeland over.
Yeah.
But I really want an outdoor setting to it. You know,
Okay.
like you can sit inside, but like also a big area of outdoor seating that's facing the road there. And I feel like, of course, like one of the things it'll have is souvenir coasters, because all the new places do at Disney. So you'd have a set of coasters featuring, you know, imaginary themed coffees, like themed after the characters, you know, so like you could have Lightning's Light Roast, you could have Fillmore Farms organic coffee and stuff like that, Doc's Dark Roast Oil, Flo's Diner Pie flavored coffees. Like I could go on and on about ideas for this. You know, and I hear like Italian Cars themed songs playing in the background and just kind of creating a vibe, right? And you know, you'll have views down Route 66, so it's like a prime spot for that. Like you can look right down Cars Land and see everything that's going on. You know, obviously, like my dream of dreams would be like this wouldn't be another Starbucks. First of all, there's enough Starbucks in the world, but this would be our chance to get Expedition Roasters coffee into the park, which I think would be
Nice.
amazing,
Yeah.
right? Or, you know, something like that, where it's like clearly like something special, something new. You know, they've brought all these microbrews to DCA. I feel like they can give some love to some of the coffee companies too. And what better choice than you know, Disney inspired coffee company like Expedition Roasters. Shout out to our friends over there. They do great work. But yeah, that's my idea for a new spot to get coffee in the park.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're all going to be behind this because we all drink coffee.
Heck yeah. I mean,
That is awesome.
You could have souvenir mugs in there, like signature drinks. I feel like there's endless things you could do with it.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of seeing the Route 66 tire fix or the bullet blend, not
Yeah.
particularly mentioning those for any particular reason.
Yeah, no reason at all.
But, you know,
No.
those would be great. But having the ability, I'm so on board with this, because having the ability to just walk up to the counter and be like, Guido, my man, and affogato. And he would be like, coming right up. And then he's like, there you go. And like, boom, right? Vanilla gelato drowned in coffee. One of my favorite Italian desserts. I mean, come on now.
Yeah.
Like, who better to get it from than Guido? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that spot right there would be so neat. I know that there's parade logistics that they would have to consider. But I think they could figure that out. They've got it figured out for those other restaurants that are along there. Whether or not that becomes like VIP seating during those or something. I know I would love to sit there. I would watch all the parades if I could sit there and have an espresso or a cappuccino at Guido's.
And
that would be my prime spot.
And look, that says a lot considering Gavin's not a parade guy.
Right.
Right.
Not at
I
all.
was like surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Guido's coming soon.
Right on, man. And we can call it Guido's Pit Stop.
Yeah,
Yes.
we could. Guido's pit stop. I like that. Okay, well, let's get down to my final idea, which
I thought
Heyzen
that was it.
spoiled already, but that's okay.
Sorry, buddy.
No, it's great minds thinking alike, and I love where your mind's at because mine went down a similar flight path, you might say. I, for one, am not going to move the Soarin' building.
But it's so easy. Just double click on it
I know.
and
I
move
know.
the little shaded box and then double click to place it.
I mean, I feel the same way as I did about Interventions. I feel like that building and its technology are dated for what I want to do. So I'm also going to expand Cars Land to the southeast behind Rollickin' Roadsters, to the east of Radiator Springs Racers, and to the south of the aforementioned Quinjet attraction for Avengers Campus. I feel like there's enough room back there to pull this off. But I am bringing planes into the franchise here where it belongs. So we're going to create Prop Wash Junction and you're going to enter a planes-themed hangar. So something that doesn't look like the Soarin' hangar, that looks much more like you would see in cars or planes. And we're going to be using different technology than Soarin', for sure. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be boarding a plane, and we're going to take a flight around the world in a new attraction called Planes Around the World. So you'll get the chance to swoop through all of the fantastic exotic locations of the world of both cars and planes. So all of the things that we experience in the entire universe of cars and planes, we're going to get to soar through highlights of those. So we're going to see New York, Iceland, Germany, India, France, Italy, Tokyo, Mexico, London, and yes, Radiator Springs. Guests will even encounter the infamous ghost light along the way. So we're going to board a plane. Dusty Crop Hopper will lead a squadron of planes that you're a part of on this global tour. So you'll hear him, and you'll actually see him fly ahead of the formation during certain parts of the journey. You'll fly over various Cars characters who will greet you during your flyover, and you'll even be joined by Air Mater, the newest Falcon Hawk, along the way. If anybody has seen that Mater's Tales where he joins the Falcon Hawks, it's one of the funniest ones. Go watch it now. Looking at you, Melissa. So it's really going to be a true celebration of the entire Cars universe. We're going to get to see all of the things in all three films, some of the short tales, and both of the Planes movies. So that's what I envision. This is just like a total celebration of Cars. The technology I'm envisioning for this is kind of a combination of Soarin', with its idea of flying through scenes, but looking a little more advanced like Smuggler's Run. So you're going to be able to see through the windshield in almost 180 degrees. And it's going to have that 3D like depth of field look that Smuggler's Run has. And it's going to be on a mechanism that gives you a lot more physical movement. So you feel the plane banking and turning and dipping and diving along the way. Even if we want to do, something that feels like a loop, like Heyzen mentioned in his idea, that's a fantastic idea. I feel like we could pull that off, even with some of the physical motion. We probably don't want to flip the car upside down to do a aerial loop, but we can make it feel like that. The motions that they create in something like Star Tours, those are more subtle than you might realize. It's the visual cue and a slight physical impulse that makes you feel like a much bigger action's happening. So I feel like we could pull off some really dynamic fly-throughs and flyovers of those various scenes from the films. I just feel like it would be an incredible way to experience all the wonderful things that this franchise brought us visually. I feel like we could create new animations for all of this too. Like I wouldn't want to fly through a scene of Cars and then fly through a scene of Cars 3 and like have that visual disparity between the animation quality. I would love it if this was fully newly animated, because we never saw those scenes through the eyes of a plane flying through them anyway, so we don't have those perspectives. So I see this as all new, modern, contemporary animation of those familiar scenes that we would fly through. That's the long and short of it. I think the Planes franchise has been missing from the parks. That first film had a budget of $50 million and pulled in over $250 million. So there's popularity there. There's a real love for those movies, and I really would love for them to be embraced in Radiator Springs.
Yeah. There's so much potential with redoing everything and just flying around the world. I mean, I don't know if I would want to fly around the world. Like, I kind of want to keep my idea of just flying through California to keep it, fairly centered. But I guess if you had, like, if you alternated, like, seasonal changes where one is around the world, maybe one's around California, kind of what they're doing right now, I think you can kind of alternate between the two. But I like the idea.
So you would animate scenes of California?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing that I feel like a lot of it doesn't need to be animated. Like, I think RenderMan has gotten to a point where if you took the 3D models from cars and planes and applied what they know now into real scenes, like some of the scenes in Cars 3, like, literally look photorealistic. Like, it's aside from the fact, like, if you covered up the cartoon cars and looked at the rest of the scene, in many cases you can't distinguish that you are watching an animated film. And so I think that you can take that technology that they've learned and apply these cars to real scenes, and it would just look almost seamless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we're kind of almost getting into a completely separate discussion on photorealism in animation and whether that's good or bad. But I see what you're saying. And I know that you like The Good Dinosaur. So
no, I love The Good Dinosaur.
I know. I won't say anything about that.
I know I stand alone in most cases with that one, but
I guess for me, since we're doing an IP here, since we're flying with planes from the movie and we're incorporating cars from the films, like, having scenes that have nothing to do with those IPs doesn't make as much sense for me. Like, if you want, like, let's say they just decided to add Dusty Crophopper to Soren. Like, I don't feel like that would make any sense at all. Like, it just doesn't work for me conceptually.
Yeah, part of the reason I was saying that you would need to film new locations is because Soren and Soren Around the World rely on showing visuals of people doing things in those locations. And so by filming new things where only the planes and the cars are a part of it, it brings you into an extended version of Radiator Springs or whatever locations they went to. Now, if you film places around California, or even if you animated, whatever you did with them, but called them, gave them names that had to do with cars or car parts, but they kind of sounded like, instead of Santa Clarita, you went to Santa Carita or something, you know what I mean? Like, you kind of put that spin on it, then it might be easier to digest as an attraction goer than just like, oh my God, why is this animated plane flying around San Francisco? Like, is Godzilla gonna pop out of the bay all of a sudden? Like, you know what I mean? So it's not, it's not as confusing, and it's easier for your brain to make a connection to what you're seeing versus putting something like that in the real world. Because in the Pixar world, in the universe that they've created, you don't see cars interacting with humans. Like, the cars are the humans of that world, and so are the planes, right? So you would have to replace them completely in whatever you film or animate or whatever it turns out to be for this attraction, regardless of which version, like yours or mine.
You just said San Francisco, and then immediately in my head, we're flying. I see Baymax just flying by while we're enjoying this attraction. I'm like, hey, Marvel crossover. This would be cool. So I was just imagining everything, and that just popped up as soon as you said that. I was like, whoa.
Nice.
Yeah.
But see, I would love it if, how Soarin' ends with you're flying into Disneyland and the fireworks go off. I would love it if we're flying into Radiator Springs, like right down Route 66, and then we bank left and land on the tarmac, at Prop Wash Junction. Just kind of tying it all together. So I don't know. For me, I would love to be able to fly through the actual locations that we know from those films. And that would be the magic for me.
Yeah, I get that. It would keep it, fairly well-rounded if you just kept it to those locations. So I get where you're coming from on that.
And I've got other ideas for Soren when we get to that area. So
don't worry, I cannot come up with stuff for that either. So
whatever, you had good ideas.
Yeah.
I mean, you call them good. I call them last-minute desperation moves.
But look what they built, what they created. I mean, they were pretty good. I mean,
well, I
kind of want to fly in this attraction now.
This is why I love you guys, because regardless of how bad my ideas are, you always call them great. So thank you. All right. Well, that is going to wrap it up for this episode. If you have any ideas yourself, do a little armchair imagineering of your own and join the conversation by leaving a comment over on the blog post for this episode over at podketeers.com/275. You can also join us over on Instagram, Facebook, or on Twitter. We'd love to hear your ideas and share them in an upcoming episode. So that's it. Remember, we're raising money for Walk for Hope. Teamboatwillie.com. Make sure to go check that out. If you want to purchase anything from Amazon, make sure to use our link. We get a small commission from Amazon every time that you do. Start by going to podketeers.com/Amazon. You can go get that Bob Iger book that just came out. Marty Sklar's new book is coming out in about a month. It's a book I've been looking forward to for some time. The Mark Davis book is also available on Amazon. I'll put links to all of those in the blog post for the episode. audibletrial.com/Podketeers if you guys want to listen to those books as well. And join the FGP Squad. We got some stuff coming up. We got more giveaways, and you get to have special content just put up for you. So podketeers.com/FGP. And that's going to wrap it up for this episode. So until next time, keep dreaming, keep moving forward, and always remember to pass on the magic. Have a great week, everyone.
Bye.
Made you look.